When I first tried quinoa, this is how I would eat it. And because it was so healthy, I continued to eat it this way until I got honest with myself. Quinoa frickin' sucks. Eating it is like chewing on sand, if sand tasted like cardboard. And I know I'm not the only person who feels this way. But recently, I have figured out that there are a few things you can do to make quinoa taste actually really, really delicious. And today, I'm gonna share the tips and tricks that have gotten me to finally enjoy this superfood, as well as the customizable quinoa salad that I think every home cook should know how to make. We're gonna start with 1 cup of quinoa. And the first tip is to rinse your quinoa because quinoa has this natural coating. It tastes a little bitter and soapy, so you wanna rinse that off. Let's get started on our water for the quinoa. And a lot of recipes will tell you to use 2 cups of water for 1 cup of quinoa. In my experience, that's just too much water. You're going to make the quinoa waterlogged and soggy. It's not gonna fluff up. So I actually only use 1 1/4 cup of water and it works just fine. Now that the water is at a simmer, I'm gonna season it with a pinch of salt. We are adding a lot of other flavors in this recipe later on, so we don't need too much flavor at the moment. But if you are making something simpler, like a really simple quinoa salad, I encourage you to zhuzh it up now, add some flavor, cook it in vegetable broth, add some bay leaves, black pepper, you get the point. Whoop. We'll add our quinoa now, and we're gonna reduce the heat to low and simmer this for 12 minutes. Oh, set a timer. In the meantime, we're going to prep the vegetables. I don't think quinoa should ever be like the main attraction. It just doesn't have main character energy. It's more like a backup dancer to your favorite singer. So we're gonna add lots of flavors and textures to support the quinoa. I've got fennel, asparagus, and snap peas because it's spring, but this is where you can really customize and get creative with the salad. So if it's summer, I really like cherry tomatoes and corn. If it's winter, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower are good. And if it's fall, any sort of winter squash or pumpkin would be great. For the snap peas, they're really simple. You don't actually have to prep them. You can just add them whole. For the asparagus, you want to cut off the tough woody end at the bottom. You can kind of start to feel where it gets tough. And then we're gonna cut the asparagus into 1-inch pieces, or 1-inch-ish. I don't know, I'm not measuring. I don't recommend doing the bend and snap method because you're gonna waste a lot of asparagus that way. Instead, just feel where it gets tough and cut that part off. For the fennel, first you wanna cut off these stalks. You can save these to put in vegetable broth or stock if you freeze them. And these feathery, wispy little fronds, you wanna save these. These are delightful. They can be used like fresh herbs and we'll fold them in at the end. Once you have your fennel bulb sliced in half, we're just gonna cut them crosswise into 1/3 inch slices. And I encourage you to use the vegetables that you love and that are in season. If you can roast it, it's probably gonna be great in the salad. I'm adding the vegetables to a sheet pan. We're gonna roast them in a few minutes. It's gonna bring out their natural sugar, caramelize them, make them sweeter, get a nice little brown coating on them. But you don't want to overpack the sheet pan because the vegetables will steam instead of roast. About 1 pound of vegetables is good. Just hit them with a little bit of olive oil, a nice amount of black pepper, and of course some salt. Oh, there's the 12-minute timer. Let's see if it's done. So this is the quinoa after 12 minutes. The water has been absorbed. The quinoa is tender. You can see the germ has separated from some of the seeds. If I'm being honest, I really don't like it right now at all. But I have a few tricks up my sleeve that are going to make this taste so much better, I promise. I'm gonna spread the quinoa out on a sheet pan. That way any excess moisture in the grains can kind of dry out and the quinoa won't clump and get soggy. And this is a tip you can use with almost any whole grain, is to let it hang out and dry, and that will improve the texture. The quinoa is a little cool now, and this is where the magic really starts to happen. This is my #1 tip. It is to roast or bake your quinoa. We are going to add some olive oil, salt and pepper, and the dry heat of the oven plus the fat in the olive oil, it's going to really transform quinoa. It's gonna make it crispy and crunchy. It's gonna make it taste nuttier. It basically becomes a radically different ingredient. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. Like if you take a potato, it's dense, but when you coat it with some fat and you pop it in a hot oven, it comes out crispy and flaky. And that's kind of the same principle here. And the great thing about this recipe is that it is very efficient. So the quinoa and the vegetables are going to roast in the oven at the same time. The quinoa will go in the top 1/3 of the oven and the vegetables will go on the bottom rack. The quinoa and vegetables need 20 to 25 minutes, so while we wait, let me thank the sponsor of today's video, OSEA. When I first moved to Southern California a few years ago, my skin got so dry and scaly. I was basically a lizard in human form. And so I reached out to my Instagram audience for some suggestions, and a lot of folks recommended OSEA skincare products. I am so glad they did because I've been using their stuff ever since, and my skin has never looked or felt better. I love OSEA not only because their products are vegan and cruelty-free, which is obviously important to me, but also because they're formulated with seaweed, which I love to eat, but it's also great for your skin because it's got all of these wonderful nutrients. One of the products I've been loving lately is their new Undaria Collagen Body Lotion. I use this after I shower and sometimes before bed. It's creamy but lightweight, so it doesn't stick to your skin, and it's got my skin feeling luxurious, hydrated, firm, smooth, and sexy. Yes, all of the good things. And that shouldn't come as a surprise because there is so much amazing stuff packed into this bottle. I particularly love that there's vegan collagen in there because it's obviously so much better for the animals and the environment than the traditional stuff. Summer is just around the corner. I think it's a fantastic time to add this to your skincare routine. If you want to try it out or any of OSEA's products and get a 10% discount, you can use the code RainbowPlantLife10 at checkout or use the link in the description box below. All right, back to the kitchen. All right, we have like 10 more minutes before we need to check on the quinoa. So in the meantime, we're going to prep our chickpeas. Quinoa already has a good amount of protein, but I want this to be like a complete meal salad, hence the chickpeas. You're gonna drain and rinse them, but be sure to save the aquafaba, the canning liquid, because it is an excellent egg substitute. You can use it in my vegan brownies or in my lemon cake. I'm just gonna dry the chickpeas. You don't want them to be wet. The problem with canned chickpeas is that they don't have a lot of flavor on their own. Whoops. And quinoa certainly doesn't either. So we're going to mix them with a really zingy, flavorful vinaigrette. It's going to flavor the chickpeas and the quinoa. Oh my God, there's more in there. Oops. I'm gonna dice one medium shallot to start. This one is very difficult to peel. Onion's sitting over there being like, haha, this is what you get for not choosing me. You could use like a red onion. It's just gonna be a little sharper. In a salad, I prefer usually a shallot because it's mellower and a little sweeter. This is the worst shallot I've ever had. All right, it's been 84 years since we first started peeling the shallot. Now I'm just gonna finely dice it. And 2 garlic cloves, I'm gonna grate them. If you are a garlic press kind of person, you can use a garlic press. I am not, or just mince it by hand. Lemon zest, this is gonna brighten the salad, give it those like fresh, zesty, zingy vibes. And we're also gonna add some of the juice, not all of it right now, about 2 tablespoons, make it feel bright and lemony. That's a juicy boy. I'm also adding some fresh herbs to this salad, and this is somewhere you can get creative as well, depending on what vegetable you're using. So I'm using a mixture of flat leaf parsley and basil, as well as some of these fennel fronds, but if you're doing tomatoes in the summer, basil and dill would be nice. If you're doing carrots, mint would be really lovely. So let your imagination take you on a journey. For the parsley, tender stems are a-okay, they're delicious, but anything that's thick you wanna toss. Get some fennel fronds in there. These are really delicate. They've got the fennel flavor of like slightly anise. They're just really, really great in all kinds of salads. I'm not measuring out the herbs today, but you want like a very large handful, maybe a cup or so. For your basil, pick off your leaves, line them up, and then roll them like you would roll a cigar. Not that I've ever rolled a cigar, but I think that's how you roll them. And then you're gonna thinly slice them. This is known as a chiffonade. And you get these really cute ribbons of basil. For the little leaves, I'm just gonna tear them with my hands, it's easier. We've got one superstar ingredient that I wanna chat about for a second, pomegranate molasses. This is gonna be kind of like the vinegar in this dressing. It's just the juice boiled down from pomegranate seeds. It's incredible, it's tart, it's tangy, it's a little sweet. It adds so much complexity of flavor here. So if you can, I highly recommend seeking it out. This is my favorite brand. It's just made with pomegranate juice. You don't want any added sugar or anything like that. You can also use an aged balsamic vinegar. That would be lovely here. If you want something a little lighter, you could do a champagne vinegar. Also need a little bit of extra virgin olive oil to bring this together. Add some richness, of course, some salt and pepper. And if you like a little heat like I do, some red pepper flakes, just a 1/4 teaspoon. And we're gonna let the chickpeas marinate in here just very quickly, about 10 minutes. We'll set this aside and it's time to check on our quinoa. All right, this is the quinoa after 15 minutes. The edges start to crisp up more quickly than the center, so you wanna toss everything together so the edges don't burn. And you don't need to toss the vegetables. You kinda wanna let them do their thing, hang out, get nice and browned and toasty. This needs about 10 more minutes, so in the meantime, we'll prep our mix-ins. First, some roasted almonds. I love almonds here because they add this amazing crunch and you get some healthy fats. You could also use pistachios. if you are allergic to nuts, you could do toasted sunflower seeds or pepitas. These are already roasted, but if you have raw almonds only, you want to make sure you toast them in a skillet or in the oven first. Now from here, everything else is optional. You can kind of zhuzh up the salad how you like. Some options I personally like that I have at home: vegan feta. If you want something creamy and a little tangy, it's so good here. Or if you want something creamy, you can add avocado. Just gonna crumble the feta with my hands. If you have something pickled in your fridge, like pickled onions, pickled cabbage, sauerkraut, pickled chili peppers, anything like that would be awesome here too. Adds a bright, fresh tang. If you wanted to add some raw vegetables, a finely diced cucumber would be nice. I have some really sweet golden cherry tomatoes. I'm gonna add those today. I think the quinoa and vegetables are done, so I'm going to grab those and then we'll start mixing everything together. Our vegetables are looking nice and tender. Obviously, the exact cook time is going to vary based on the vegetables you used and how you cut them, but I'd say minimum of 20 minutes and maximum of 30 minutes is probably right. Do you hear this crunch? This is like a totally different ingredient in the best way possible. Time to assemble. We're gonna add our roasted vegetables to our marinated chickpeas and the toasted quinoa. We've got our complex carbs, our protein, our fiber, healthy fats. Such a wholesome salad. Add in the chopped almonds. Let's give this a mix. There's so many fun textures in here. I am genuinely so excited to eat this. If you're serving this for a dinner party or like a sophisticated alfresco lunch, you can serve the salad as is and then leave the mix-ins on the side so people can pick and choose which ones they like. It looks so good. If you had told me 2 years ago that I would be super excited to eat quinoa, I would not have believed you, but I am truly so excited to dig into the salad. I don't have words. I am a quinoa convert. It's got so much great texture, crunchy, chewy, crispy, tender. You're gonna love it. The recipe is linked in the description box below the video. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.